Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. So I'm doing another fluid art painting. This is just paint and water, so acrylic paint and water mixed roughly with the ratio of 1:1. There's going to be some more information in the description box below, so just expand that. But I am using my embroidery hoop, but I'm not going to swipe, but it's going to be used as a bit of a guide. So that gives you a hint of the shape that I'm going to be working with. I've made up my own base colour by mixing two colours. I'm going to take you down to see the colour palette and see how I've prepared the canvas. I'm excited. So let's see what we can create. So here's my canvas. It's 24 inches squared, so 24 inches by 24 inches. I've got my embroidery hoop in the middle, but I'll come to that in a minute. Let me just show you the colour palette that I'm working with. So I've made up my own base colour, but instead of titanium white, I've used a Zinc Mixing White by Daler Rowney System3 Acrylic. So I've used that white and a Prussian Blue to create the base colour. So you can see here, I've already painted my edges, so you get an idea of the colour that produces. And then this is my colour palette. So a couple of Amsterdams, a Pebeo and a Winsor and Newton. So I'm really excited to use these colours. I will list them all in the description box below. But I've got a permanent magenta. I've got a permanent red violet. I love this one. This is an iridescent violet blue. And a very delicate light rose. So that's going to be my main colour palette. That's my base colour. So let's move down to the canvas. So here we go. So 24 inches squared. I'm using the embroidery hoop. I think, I might change my mind, but I think I'm going to just layer the paints all the way around the circle, remove the circle and blow it out, trying to keep the circular shape. But sometimes we change things up when we're in the middle of a creation, don't we? So let's see what happens. That's the intention. I've painted my edges, so I've got good coverage. Let's go. So I'm just going to place my hoop to one side, and I'm going to start with the base coat. And as I always say, if we can get a good base coat, good coverage and a consistent layer on the bottom, then everything else should flow really well. So I've just placed the paint directly in the middle of the canvas. I just pick it up to tilt it in a circular motion just to start spreading some of that paint. And then I'm going to use my blow dryer, which is on a cool setting and the lowest blow speed, to make sure I've got a consistent coverage of paint on the base of the canvas. Once I'm happy with the coverage, I'm then going to get my embroidery hoop and place it directly in the middle of the canvas. So this is literally going to act as a guide for me to get a circular motion going. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. I'm using the hoop to guide me in a circular shape in the centre of the canvas. So I've picked just one colour. This is the light rose, and I will list all the colours in the description box. So check out the description box for more information on my colours and ratios. I'm now going to remove the hoop because it's already played an important part in this process. It's helped me create that circle. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more of the paint, going round, distributing the paint evenly in that circle shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that process for every colour that I've got. So one colour at a time, adding the colour on top of the colour that we've already layered. One thing that I would say is be very mindful of the volume of paint that you're placing on your canvas. Of course, you want enough to have that impact of the creation that you're trying to do, but you don't want too much paint where you're going to end up blowing it off the edges and down the sides. I really want to keep this design on the canvas itself. And I also want that balance of negative space. So always be really mindful about that volume of paint that you're adding. And sometimes less is more, because you can easily add more paint as you go along. It's a lot more difficult to take paint off throughout the process. I've mixed all of my paints from tube paint and made them more fluid with water, 1 part paint to 1 part water, so there are some air bubbles in the paints. So I'm just using my butane torch to pop any air bubbles before we start blowing out the design. I'm using my blow dryer. It's on a cool setting and the lowest blow speed. And I'm just going to work my way around the circle, blowing the paint from left to right as I continue following that circle shape. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a like, share it out, and let me know what you think so far about this process. And I'd especially love to hear if you're going to try this too, or if you've got any colour palette suggestions for me for future pieces. I read all the comments and I love to hear from you. And if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free and it really helps me reach other people across YouTube who may not yet know about my channel and who may be interested in this type of art form. I really love how this is taking shape, but what I'm going to do now is add some smaller puddles around the circle. I can still see my circle shape, so I'm just adding a few puddles around that circle shape, and I'm going to use my finger to do some finger swipes. And I just want to literally take my finger, place it in the puddle, and swirl it along that circular shape, going from one puddle to another. That's going to create some movement. The line that's being left behind, because my finger is picking up the paint as I go around, will add just some slight movement to this piece too. I'm just going to enhance some of those other areas, and then I'm going to use my finger again just to add a few swipes in. But again, I'm just going to place my finger within the paint and just gently move my finger around that circular shape. I'm really happy with the overall look of this piece. I'm going to use my torch one more time just to pop any air bubbles, and I'm going to now take you in so you can see a closer look of the wet version. Have a real good look at the elements. So the first stage was when we blew out the circle with the hairdryer, and then we added a few more puddles in and used our finger just to swipe around that circle to add a little bit more detail and a little bit of movement. and both of those techniques have worked really well together for this piece. And I really love that base colour, that colour that we made right at the beginning is really allowing those pinks to really pop and shine through. I'm going to let this dry and then I'll take you in for a closer look at the dry version. And here's the dry version. Guys, it's dried so well. I absolutely love this piece. And I don't know if you've seen a couple of my previous pieces. I did a Ring of Fire and Blue Dragon. If you've not checked those videos out, check them out. I'll link them below as well. But they really go well with this piece too. So I almost feel like this is a series that has organically happened. I'm so pleased with this. Again, just remember, this was just paint and water. No mediums were used to create this piece. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for being here today. And I really hope I get to see you again in the next video. Enjoy your week ahead and take care. And remember, drop a comment below if you've got any feedback about this piece. I'd love to hear from you. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.